All right. Get your notifications ready. Letting people come to the live stream. This is NYCHA with Broadwalk Global Media. Don't be alarmed if you don't understand this voice. You're going to get to meet me soon. Thanks for joining us today. NYCHA.
One, two.
Share. We in the building.
Yes, we
Welcome back, people. Welcome back to another episode of NYCHA.
NYCHA, one people.
Yes,
indeed.
my name is Jeff. I know it says Rock Logic on top of me, but it's Jeff.
That's not rock.
That's not
No,
right.
that's not rock.
That's not rock.
I would be rock if he ate like 1,000 burgers 2 nights ago.
That's not rock.
All right. Round of applause to me, Jeff.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Thanks for joining us.
Working the
All right.
boards today. Thank you.
Lovely lady to my left.
Yeah, hey all. You know who I am. I'm Sandria Coleman, but we're going to just do what we normally do with NYCHA.
Yes,
so we always start our week, and Rock usually sets it off. So we want to know how your week was, Jeff.
All right. So, hello, everybody. My name is Jeff. My week has been okay. It's been kind of quiet, I started a new assignment at my job. I'm working at the Barclays Center.
Okay.
I'm the medic over there. So one of the many medics over there. So I get to watch games for free.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So my first game I watched was the Liberty, and they got washed. I'm sorry.
Okay. Right.
Oh, wow.
By Chicago twice. So
Right.
both my shifts, they lost. But it was a good thing to see, Besides that, I was writing my episodes for my show.
Right.
And talking to a few people. I got to enjoy your celebration.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Congratulations on your graduation.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, it was last year.
So,
But yeah, thank you.
yeah. I like that post, and I like to see a lot of us elevate.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be with you guys.
Awesome.
And yeah,
Awesome.
so that was my week.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that post actually got my graduation post actually got invigorated when someone writes on a post that actually resurfaces.
Right,
So
right.
some people are thinking I just graduated this year, but it was actually last year.
Okay.
But it's all
round of
cool.
applause yet again.
That's
Yeah.
right. Absolutely.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. Can you just tell people the name of your show?
My show is Prospectively Yours. It comes on after this show.
Okay.
I'm usually not on time, so if you get a gap on it. So
You've been busy on the boards. Too.
Yeah,
It's a
I've been
long
busy on
day,
the
brother.
boards.
Long day.
It's a long day, but I love doing this. I love talking. I love meeting people. I love, sharing ideas. So my show is Prospectively Yours. It's a show derived around men. It was something I felt that we need. A lot of men are not having a platform to speak,
Right.
to express ourselves, and to talk about what we go through
Right.
in relationships and the world.
Right.
Because we're expected to be men and be strong all the time,
Yeah.
and be in a box, and that doesn't afford us a time or space to express ourselves emotionally,
Right.
or even be comfortable to express our emotions, because
Right.
we're supposed to be this all the time.
Right.
So I speak a lot about what we go through as men on a male's perspective, but I also expect, and speak on the female's perspective
Okay.
too,
Okay.
because it has to be a well-rounded show.
Right.
And, I want all sides to be equivalent, to understand. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. All
Sounds
right.
really good.
And I just want to say, Jeff gives the most amazing hugs. I didn't get mine today, but I will get it before I
you
leave.
definitely will.
He
Definitely.
gives the most.
Yeah.
If you need a hug, he is the man to give you a hug. So my week was busy and blessed as usual. My day-to-day check-in with seniors and residents to make sure their needs are met. Monday, I was at a community stakeholders virtual meeting with Goddard Riverside, which
Okay.
they're part of the safe haven that's going to be built in our community on the Upper East Side. So I fully support it. Remember that conversation? We won't go there, but
I can do that today.
that safe haven sparked something on one of our shows. But anyway, a blooper. But Tuesday was a huge day, as we all know. That was the day of the primary, right?
Yes,
the primary
yes,
elections.
yes,
I was
yes.
out from 5:40 a.m. to 6:10 electioneering. not for a salary and not just supporting the candidates that I endorsed. One of them was Alvin Bragg. He's doing extremely well.
Yes,
he's in the lead,
yes.
Manhattan District Attorney race. Can you give him some? He's doing
Alumni
so-
One NYCHA.
And
Yeah.
give him one of these too.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah, and that's a one and done race, so that's a county race.
right.
So with that said, that's not no ranked choice voting.
Right.
I also endorsed Julie Menon. She's doing well in her the rank round one. She's doing well. She's in the
Okay.
lead.
Okay.
Yes,
So I endorsed her, so that's good. And I was in a council member, Ben Kalos, actually, his commercial and done work. I didn't officially, but I did endorse him in a sense because we're in the commercial and we
Right.
did a lot of work together. He's not doing so well. Looks like, Mark Levine is in the lead right now, but that's round one.
Right,
So,
right.
round two is going to be if you didn't win, if you didn't get your 50% and got over the threshold,
Right.
round two can be a game changer,
Absolutely.
literally for all the people in the race. And also Peggy A. Morales. We had Peggy A. Morales and Kelmy
Right.
Rodriguez last week. So Kelmy didn't make it through, but Peggy won. I endorsed them on the show.
Right,
So,
right.
I'm picking winners.
That's good. Okay.
So that was great. And remember about the absentee ballots. But we're going to jump into the conversations about primaries and stuff later more. And that night, I went to a celebration with Julie Menon at the Mansion Diner.
busy.
Yeah, that night. I didn't get back home till like 11. And that was a celebration with all the people that like kind of worked on her campaign. I actually streamed a little bit of her speaking live from the One NYCHA, so it was a little bit of
Right,
coverage.
right. I
So
saw
I'm
that.
going to jump into Thursday. I dropped by a male and female shelter in my community, and I wanted to know what were the needs there for them. So as a leader in the community, what could I do as well as bring others in to help? So I got sizes of clothes that they need.
right.
There's no children there. So, just want to be able to, be present in the community and help out. Friday evening, I have this on because I was hanging with Peggy Morales, her celebration.
Okay.
It was a rooftop party. I did a little live on that.
Right.
And that was like a phenomenal event. They had the cigar bar, right? They were rolling cigars there.
Okay.
Councilwoman Vanessa Gibson stopped by. They had her run across the finish line because she's now newly elected Bronx Borough President.
Okay.
Right,
Women are doing their
Right.
thing.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer was there. She had to go across the line. She is back in her old city council seat. So women are ruling. And lastly, today marks day 391 for UES for BLM, Upper East Side for Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely.
And we will be transitioning probably like the 11th of July into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But we are going strong. We're going to hit our 400th day and a little something consecutive, and then we're going to tone it down a little, but we're still going to be there and maintain the vigil. And that was my week. Stan, to
Wow.
you.
Wow.
Before we get to Stan, let me give you a round of applause.
Okay.
That's a
All
heavy
right,
week
for
right
having
there.
a heavy duty week.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I particularly take enjoyment in hearing this movement because you care. And part of my assignments too in the medical field, I go into a lot of these shelters.
Okay.
And I go into a lot of these safe havens. We do a lot of COVID swabbing there,
Right.
and we give flu shots and now COVID shots and stuff like that. And I'm able to go inside, especially these hotels that have been revamped into shelters.
Right.
I've gone into a lot of them from all boroughs. And the fact that you come in and ask what do they need
Right,
is
right.
a big thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because we may think that these people are in the shelters and they're just having a good life, or even if it's a hotel, they're having a good life. A lot of them are restricted. I've been into a shelter where it felt like jail.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
yeah.
you can't, you're allowed food only in the cafeteria. You can't bring a snack or nothing upstairs.
Right,
Right.
right.
I seen this lady one time beg to bring 2 oranges upstairs because she says she's a diabetic. She can't really eat the sugary stuff, and that's
Right.
how she gets her sugar.
Right.
And she also ran out of her prescription, and the pharmacy is not open.
Wow.
So of course this was like 9 o'clock. While I was leaving, I was able, to see this interaction, and they were very strict. They was like, no, nothing upstairs.
Right.
We don't care. Then you might have to stay downstairs with your oranges. Like, come on.
wow.
Right. Right,
So
right.
it felt like crazy. There was a time where we ordered pizza for my team, and there was pizza left, whole box unopened and stuff like that. And on the way out, I knocked on the door. Hey, you guys here, you don't need some. I had a whole pie.
Right.
Here's pie. Here's some soda. Enjoy yourselves. Although it was after hours, it was like near 9 o'clock when I was leaving. And on the way out, I heard guards, running upstairs and stuff like that.
Wow.
I got an email that what we did was illegal.
Wow.
Feeding these guys
Wow.
was illegal.
Insane.
They have the wrong people
and
working
they were
in
in
these
the
spots.
room, and they don't have beds. The same cots, like I been to where Jacob Javits Center have the cots and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's just a cot and a cabinet.
Oh, wow.
So you're there. It kind of looks like a crazy house.
Sure.
And I gave him fresh food, and it was an illegal act on my part to do so.
Wow.
So
Like
these
prison.
things that these people are going through, it was
like prison.
heartbreaking.
Like,
like
prison.
prison.
That was contraband in
Right.
a sense, right?
Exactly.
If it was prison,
And
right?
guards
insane.
ran upstairs, like
Wow.
guards.
Wow.
So I'm like, I thought I did something. Like, I thought they came down to pat me down, but I happened to be off the premises.
Right.
But I got an email saying, "Hey, this is illegal. What you did to
Wow.
feed these people."
That's insane.
Amazing.
That's
It's
insane.
ridiculous, yeah.
That's insane.
Wow.
So I thank you for
Yeah.
caring and going to these
Yeah.
places.
It's in my
Absolutely.
heart. It's in my
Yeah.
heart. Stand the man.
Yes.
Stand the man.
Well,
nice
first,
shirt, brother.
Thank you. First, I'm on vacation now, so
Ooh.
give me a round.
Oh, okay.
It's been a long, rough year as an organizer with
Vacation?
Justice for
Okay.
All, but we decided to take a little break. We did have our last community event in Astoria Houses on Monday the 21st, and it went well. We had
Okay.
a lot of young people came out, which was
Nice.
very, very surprising. And they're learning about the blueprint now. So we did a whole big thing about the blueprint. And I just want to mention again, in that development, that particular resident council president is for the blueprint, and so the residents are against
Astoria?
the blueprint in Astoria Houses.
Ms. Kuka?
Miss Koga, yes.
Koga,
Had to call you out. And, so the dynamic there is that there's a lot of rage because folks feel like they were uninformed. They feel like they're not being represented. And they don't want this. They really don't want it. And we also spoke about all the overdevelopment going on in Astoria, right around Astoria Houses, and how all that development is happening there, but these folks are still living in substandard, subhuman conditions, So it was a very good meeting. We had a lot of young folks, like I mentioned. So we're going to be continuing to do those kind of community meetings throughout the summer and all the developments in Queens. So we'll be doing it in Queensbridge, Ravenswood, Astoria Houses, and Woodside, and getting folks more involved in this movement and really turning the movement over to them. The residents have to lead this. It can't be organizations or even organizers. It has to be residents themselves who take up the fight. So I was really happy to see that, and we're going to be doing a lot more of that. Also, I'm in the midst of buying a property, so I did some house hunting.
Give him some. Give him some.
Went out to Jersey, and I'm going to buy a property out there.
Okay.
As an investment, so it's good to do that. We'll be sharing some stuff on the show.
Okay.
And my other show, about financial literacy. We always have our guy here.
Right.
Hollywood.
Okay.
We always talks about stocks and things of that nature. So
I love that.
Bitcoin,
I'm heavy
Bitcoin.
into stocks right
Absolutely.
now.
So
yeah.
we'll-
What's the name of your show?
Oh, hip hop, health, and politics.
All
So
right.
we'll be shooting that. We have my man Gary was on there.
Gary
the last-
Facts.
Gary Facts was on there last time. We had a great show. So I'll be promoting that a lot during the week and getting
Okay.
folks a little
Yeah,
more
we gotta
acclimated
finish
to that
building that show,
and
yeah.
give a different perspective. So it's been a relaxing week. I intend to relax as much as I can over the next couple of days, and then hit the streets again once the vacation's over, and build this movement and make sure NYCHA stays public. We do not want the blueprint. We don't want RAD. We don't want Infield. We don't want any of that. So
Right.
I see a movement growing, and we're
Yeah.
gonna win. We're gonna win, and
Yeah.
we need this money, Chuck Schumer. I don't know if we got it in infrastructure, but I'm still
Right.
waiting to find out.
Yeah.
If we got the $80 billion.
And Nydia Velasquez bill
Right,
also
right,
needs to be
right.
passed.
So I don't want Biden. Do not leave us out.
Right.
Make sure if you're gonna rebuild this country, then we need to rebuild public housing.
That's right.
All across the country. So we're gonna
Right.
see, did we get jerked by Biden or not? Time will tell. But
Public
we're
housing
looking.
matters.
We're watching. We're paying attention. We want to see what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, Money Mike.
Money, Mike.
Money Mike.
Well, my week went by smooth.
Smooth Money, Mike.
Mike is always smooth.
But earlier this week, I was supposed to actually go help Lorenzo with his campaign.
Lorenzo,
Okay.
yes.
His campaign because of the race, and he did a lot during the past year with me and him.
Yeah.
And he been busting his behind, and
Yeah.
I also put the in Boys and Girls High School, we building studios, me and
Okay.
Rob.
Right.
Okay.
What about you in Boys and Girls High School?
Right.
Okay.
Well,
wow,
that's what
good.
we're working on now.
Yeah, I seen the pictures. They're looking good. They're looking
All
good.
right.
We're doing more, but
That's my neighborhood. Go ahead.
Right.
Okay.
But it's gonna go. I mean, we do it. Well, whenever we get the deliveries, but I mean, it's actually going about good. Actually, the first one we did in Jamaica was a podcast, and the keyboard was something similar to the one that we have now, but it's actually white, and it turns different colors.
Wow.
Okay.
That's the first time I ever seen a keyboard like that.
Yeah.
Well, me, I heard it. My little brother had one, but I didn't even know that. I mean, I would have been using that. But I mean, it turns out great. I mean, I don't see no reason why these kids ain't gonna be going to no school.
Yeah.
Well, good, Mike.
But
It's great you're doing that work.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
work that
Proud
y'all
of
doing
you.
in the
Round of applause
schools
for Mike.
is amazing.
Also, a lot of people, you need to talk. A lot of people don't know. You are what? An actor? You do some acting or something like that?
Talk to
Tell
them.
us about it.
I mean,
Don't be shy.
I ain't shy,
Don't
but
be scared.
I mean, I'm currently in acting classes as well. But I did a few backgrounds. I did like 4 or 5, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
It was one we did the West Side Story was supposed to be in a play. We did a recording scene that was in the background that was supposed to be about police brutality, and I was one of the victims of police brutality. I had my face all bloodied up.
Yeah. Saw the
Nice,
pictures.
okay.
Remember?
Right.
I was in handcuffs. I sent it to a few people. They're like, "Oh my God, what happened to you?
Yeah.
I'm about to go." Everybody's about to have a fit, but yeah, but that I was played on Ghost, the first episode.
Okay.
Round of applause for that.
Wow. That's big, brother.
All right.
You all
You
shy.
wouldn't barely see me. I was in the background.
That's okay.
I was a strip club patron, you know.
Oh, you enjoyed that.
I'm throwing them dollars. That's what I was
Okay.
doing.
I had to find that episode and find my brother.
Yeah.
I was
That's
on
good, though.
God Friended Me, the politicians.
Okay.
I was on For Life. For Life. It was
Really?
It was supposed to be a visitor. Yeah.
Wow.
You've done some stuff.
Wow.
Sitting
Round
here
of
next to
applause for the brother.
a
Wow.
future star over
Putting
here.
in that work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, Money Mike.
Yeah.
Wow. Speaking of For Life, so Isaac Wright, right? So let's jump into the mayoral race.
Right,
Okay, let's
absolutely.
jump into the mayoral race. And let's just say we hope that the NYCHA residents did get out and vote, because
Yes.
there's a saying that we don't vote, and that's a flat lie.
Right,
so we
right.
need to get out and vote.
Right.
Also, I noticed when I was doing door knocking, some people have moved into the developments, but they're registered somewhere else.
Right.
You need to fix your registration, do the paperwork, so you can be voting with your direct, your local officials. Like the full city races don't matter.
Right.
But your city council member, your congresswoman, you can't be living in the Bronx and let me say, we're knocking on Manhattan doors. Knocking on Manhattan doors, you can't vote because you registered to vote in the Bronx.
Right, absolutely.
That doesn't work.
Right.
But Isaac Wright, For Life, right? He ran for mayor. He actually came in this first round at the bottom, and then Jocelyn Taylor was right at, she was like
Right,
the step
right.
from that. So, but I wish he had the funding and the people could have really got to see him, because the few times I heard him talk, this guy is phenomenal.
Yeah, I heard
know.
from Sylvia. She
Yeah.
he spoke at her church. I never heard
Yeah.
of him. I never heard of the campaign or anything. But she was like, "You really need to get to know this young man."
Yeah.
He's really got a very powerful platform, and no one ever heard. No one else. We didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
They should have been watching For Life.
Question. So what happens when you endorse somebody, right, and they're running for a race, and they happen to be like you said, a very good speaker. They happen to have very good, points. However, they're less popular, although they may have all the logics down packed,
Right.
and everything that needs to fix what needs to be fixed. But someone else wins, the race.
Right.
Is there a system put in place that these people are braced on with the person that's really has the mental blueprint, right? Is there somewhere that we can brace with the winner? Because
That-
sometimes the winner can just be by popular vote and not
Right.
necessarily have the complete best interest in
Well, I would say the winner actually, like if you look at a presidential race, you can bring that person into your cabinet. So if you're looking at
Okay.
the mayor race, if I liked your ideas,
Right.
and I know you were good and you were my opponent, I
Right.
could bring you on board. You know
Wonderful.
what I mean?
Okay,
So,
great.
but that's an individual thing. But I would hope that people would do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it would make things better. But unfortunately, I think a lot of that doesn't happen.
Right.
is it because of ego thing?
I think ego and people want
The race is rough, too.
They want they like. They want that platform.
Yeah. And the race is rough too.
Right. And it's very unfortunate, how politics works. As a former candidate and running myself, I got a chance to see it. And it's really, first of all,
Dirty,
too much
right?
about money.
Dirty.
So people judge your campaign right out the back, right out the gate. How much money do you got? How much money do they think you could raise?
Right.
More than what your ideas actually are and what you're really trying to do. And then they pretty much eliminate you. They say, well, you're not viable. That's the word I hated
Yeah, you didn't have the
so
money.
much. And then as I watched the campaign that I was running in against Donovan Richards, a lot of folks said that I would not have had a chance. You're not viable. A lot of progressives did not come around and support my campaign as I thought they would have in the beginning, which would have made it viable.
Right.
And then we watching what's happening is that he may lose. So
Right.
everybody thought
Close
this was
race.
a done deal. And Elizabeth Crowley, who's also part of the machine too, but she ran out and said she's not taking any money from developers, which was the line I was using in a certain sense. And it resonated, to the point where she came in the race as I was leaving. She came in late, but she still made a real big run. So I think that people are more aware and more wanting more progressive politics. I think that's what we're going to find in this election. Are we a more progressive city, or are we not? I mean, I think if you look at the mayor's race, the same thing is happening there. You have Eric Adams, who's not really a progressive. Then you have Maya Wiley, who the progressives are supporting. And we'll see how that turns out. But I think we're in a fight in the city now between whether we're going to be progressive,
Right.
or whether we're going to stay moderate. Exactly what are we going to do? And I think the issue of the police is really driving that fight.
Right.
Do you want to fund the police? Do you want more police? I think that's
Right.
kind of
And
divided.
that's the mixture of the people.
Right.
Right, because there's people that do want public safety,
Absolutely.
but does not realize that public safety does not mean having more police.
Right.
You have to hit the problems in the community. You have to hit poverty, right?
Right.
You have to hit, give the kids after school and community services
Absolutely.
to keep people out of trouble. And the biggest thing, like I said, it is poverty and drugs.
Right.
So everybody is not a criminal. Everybody's not looking to do things, but everybody's not doing well, especially in this pandemic. But let's stick on the mayor's race right
Sure.
now, because Eric Adams is in the lead and Maya's right behind him, and then Kathy Garcia.
Right.
That's round one. Absentee ballots are not counted yet.
Right.
So there's still going to be some upticks on, for everyone.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. Eric Adams is actually talking as if he has this in the bag.
Yeah, he is.
And round two has not hit. So we have to wait for round two. But one of the things we're going to touch on today, and Stan is going to speak more about it, is the independent
Yes.
candidates
Yes.
or mayoral candidate that will jump in. And one thing I want to say publicly, people, please, please, please do not stay home in the general.
Right.
Exercise your right to vote. I know there's a lot of people that might not like Eric Adams, and that's fine. But we also have a Republican that, the
Right,
guardian angel guy,
right.
Curtis, right?
Curtis Sliwa, yeah.
Okay, so him. Now, this independent. So you may have, an option, right? That's going to splinter the vote, yes. But we have to make sure we vote properly this time, and because we don't need him to get in,
Right.
but then we're gonna wind up with the Hillary and Hillary and Trump thing, right?
Right.
That quote they said, the lesser of two evils, right? I don't want him. Some people are gonna stay home. So talk about do you know anything about the independent?
Before you go on with that, what we're talking about is kind of like the micro parts of what the system is what we're dealing with.
Right.
The big picture really, well, not really, to my perspective, I think New York is kind of like for sale, right? I think right now, everything is with the housing and stuff like that, because you said not taking money from developers,
Private developers, right.
So it's like, I feel like there is a revamping of New York, and it's all, they want you to just live in New York and work elsewhere, you know what I'm saying? So do you think that the race is really, because when you talk about being viable,
right.
So you think about the money aspect, is it that the person who's going to be picked is the one who's braced with the big idea, this looming big idea of buying New York?
Well, I think the person that generally gets to run is the person that takes the developer money, and so in developers, if you don't take their money, you don't follow their positions, then they're going to threaten you. And I heard this from an elected official who's been on our show, was very prominent, but I won't put her name out there. But she was telling me personally when she found out that I was going to run, that, it's going to be tough for you because developers back who they want, who's going to do their bidding. And if you're not that particular person that's going to do that, then they're going to put their money behind the other person. They're going to primary you.
You just gave a clue.
And that controls politics, because a lot of elected officials are so caught up in being an elected official. Maybe not even so much in serving the community, but they get kind of caught up in these titles and they want the power. So when you threaten their campaigns to say, I'm going to fund your opponent, that controls them, to the point where they can't come out and speak and say the things that they may want to say.
Because of their sponsorships? Because
their sponsorships and the money that goes into them and then their endorsements. So sometimes you're put into a box, as an elected official based on who's supporting you and whose money you taking. And that's really what I think is really wrong with politics. It kind of pushes all of us, of those who want to run, to chase after the money. And then the answer to that, which I don't know if our people have yet got the idea of, that we got to support these campaigns from the grassroots level. If we want to fight the developers, that means all of us have to be given the $1, the $2, the $3, the $4, the $5. So a campaign like Jocelyn Taylor's gets off the ground, or a campaign like mine gets off the ground.
The matching funds system, right?
So
$10, the $10
and then you can compete. But a lot of our people don't donate. I'm just being honest. A lot of us, we don't. We're not used to doing it. And therefore, it makes it tough to have that grassroots, people-powered campaign really take hold. It makes it's difficult.
Yeah, and also I know you spoke about people taking money, but there's also PACs that get behind candidates.
Right, that's right.
So when the PACs get behind you, there's nothing you can do about it. So if they like you, they're doing stuff to help you win. Like some candidates had trucks with their name on it and stuff. They didn't pay for that, but the PACs got behind them because this is a candidate they want to see in office.
Right.
And so a PAC could get behind you. There's nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? You might be like, oh man, but long as everybody could look at the campaign finance board and see who you took money from.
Absolutely.
So
that was going to be my next question.
You can
is there a list of transparency where to say who?
Yes.
Exactly.
Gave your money, how much,
So my question is that, so it's kind of like the presidency, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is why a lot of people will be kind of disheartened to vote, because if the bigwigs are putting the money behind this person, then your agenda is not for me.
That's exactly what happened. We get left out the equation. Like you see some races where, let's say a race in Georgia, and it's millions and millions and millions of dollars, that goes into like a little local race. Like, why would that happen? But it happens that way. That's how money controls and gets involved and kind of controls what actually happens in politics. And it's highly unfortunate, but we can call for campaign reform. But to be honest, the newspapers that show these ads, they make money from it. Yeah. The TV stations who show these commercials, they make money from it. The ratings the shows get talking about these shows, they make money from it. So it's a whole money industry within politics. That makes it very difficult business for that grassroots campaign to break through. But to answer your question, there's a Kathy Rojas is running as an independent, from the PSL, Party for Socialist Liberation. And she'll be running against whoever wins. And I'm going to tell folks right here, right now, that she's got a shot. I myself am affiliated with PSL, and I'm part of that organization. And I know how they work, and I know how I know what they do. And they're going to put her out there, and she's going to become, I guess, another route or another lane we can go as a socialist and a former teacher. And that's somebody I knocked on doors with in Queensbridge. I've organized with her. I know where her heart is at. She's the real deal. And don't sleep. So Eric or Maya or Curtis Lieber, there's somebody else in this race that's going to really bring a different perspective. No money from elected officials, a socialist agenda. She's, I think, the rich in this city has gotten away with way too much without paying their fair share. At the time when we're in a pandemic, we're gonna need those rich folks to give up more dollars. And so she's gonna bring that campaign. It's gonna be a different message.
Yeah. To be honest, her campaign is actually gonna be in the spotlight.
Right.
Literally, because, like I said, if it's Eric, people are not going to be happy.
Right.
Definitely. So there's going to be a splinter in the Democratic Party. So, and then in the general, you get to vote how you want to vote.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and the independents get to come out full force because they are disenfranchised
Right.
in the primary. Independents cannot vote in the primary.
Right.
Which is crazy.
It's insane.
Right.
I mean, the rules are set up. You got to get more signatures as an independent. Everything is set up against you.
Yeah.
You know, because they really don't want that independent voice to be heard. They like the two-party system. In New York, it's really a one-party system. You run the primary as a Democrat, you almost assume that person's going to win.
Right.
You know? And so that's not fair. That excludes a lot of people, you know, from this process. And I think that's done on purpose.
Yeah.
So what does this money go to? Let's just say if you're running for whatever it is that you're running for and you get like $100 million or something like that, right? So is that like a percentage towards your salary for the next 10 years or something like that? What is that money? How is that money spent? Besides advertisement or whatever, where does that money go? And if you lose, does that money go back to these people, or does that money get donated to the community? What happens with all that? Because I don't understand that fact that you have to raise money.
Right.
I don't understand it. I don't know why money has to do with it, because if you have two legs, you can talk to your community, like you said, knocking on doors.
Right.
If you do that, then word of mouth, then I will vote for the person I can see and touch, right?
Right.
So it's like, for example, if a church, a virtual pastor or a pastor, you know, or a bishop who just spoke, and you can actually see the man after church outside and talk to him, that person, I'll vote for you.
Right.
But these people who are on TV, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I don't know the mayor people that
Right.
wants, you know, I may sound ignorant, sorry, but
No.
because I grew up with a culture where I'm kind of against politics. Is now
Right.
at my age now, I'm kind of accepting it.
Right.
Because I first see the ugly side to it.
Horrible.
Right. So I just feel like for the people who want a change, the people on the ground who are affected, who want a change, I think just open your eyes, because I would follow opposite of the money.
Right.
Because the money, if you're buying into it, that means you want something that I have.
Right.
You want to take it away from me, and because I'm the one who don't have the money,
Right.
these people to represent me. So if I go against the money, then I'm gonna make change. But then you have the people who are complacent. You know what I'm saying? You have the people who are not gonna get out their chairs, not gonna get out their seat,
Right.
and stuff like that. And you said something great about election reform, right?
Right.
Voting reform and stuff like that. I think that should be great. I think the advertisement part of it should be different. The run for the race for it should be fought differently.
Right.
You know.
I would add this in. I know money. A lot of people are against, like, candidates, of course, that have money, but you do need money to run a campaign. You
Right,
really
you gotta
do.
pay for your
You gotta
volunteers,
pay.
you gotta
Well,
pay-
no, volunteers are
Well, not the
volunteers,
volunteers,
right?
you gotta
But
pay
you got
for
a
people
campaign
actually- right,
manager,
right,
your
right.
literature. Like, put it like this: a district race is smaller than a citywide race.
Right.
A citywide race is impossible. Let's say Stan was running for mayor. It's impossible for Stan to be in every borough at once, right? So, or every borough
Right.
in one day. Like,
Right.
you really got to hit the spots. So you would need funding for people to, you know, get your lit out, maybe get a commercial and stuff like that. But also the volunteers is what makes the difference. If you have people that believe in you, they will hit the pavement, because
Right.
that's who really gets it for you. Is the people that's out there electioneering during the election day primary. Is also the people that are out on the corners passing lit.
Right.
Sometimes you may see the candidate, sometimes you don't see the candidate, but you see their face on that literature, and that's very important. So you do need some kind of money to run. I'm not saying you need a lot of money, but you
Right.
do need funding. And I also say this: the Manhattan District Attorney race, Tali Weinstein,
Yeah, she came
female,
out of nowhere with
she
money.
put over $8 million of her own money in her campaign.
Isn't that amazing? And almost, I think Alvin Bragg is still winning, but that just shows.
But can you imagine that? And she's had smear campaigns
Right.
against Alvin Bragg and Dan Court on TV, on these commercials and on these literature. Like, if you don't live in Manhattan, you're not seeing it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Pretty much like the literature we were getting. But and people actually, I won't say any names of people or organizations, but I seen people that was with her, and I'm like, how? Like, what's going on? What's behind that? Why are you a leader, or why are you have this organization and you're backing this woman that's literally buying her election
Or trying to.
Yeah.
I like I said, I'm very ignorant. I swore this is how I swore that these things were going down. Right? Let's just say you have 5 people running for this one seat. Mm-hmm. I thought the government gives everybody $20,000.
No,
and you each start with your own regular. Each start with the same amount of money, and the best conversationalist win.
That would be the kind of campaign reform that we would be talking about.
I swear that's how it was.
Where money gets out of the way and people can actually get their ideas out. And
that's why Kalos did the matching funds.
Right.
He implemented that, which makes anybody viable.
Right.
Because for what is it, $10 is 10 to 8, I think, or $10 is $90, something like that. Yeah, matching funds. So every $10 in the increments is it's matching.
I thought it was just I thought it was set aside.
Nope.
5 people, everybody you get this amount of money, this amount of money, go.
And if it was like that, we would have different politics.
Right.
We would have more real representation, and more people would run. You know, a lot of people don't run because they're like, you know what? When you really feel how difficult it is, and I haven't gone through the experience, I didn't know how difficult it is till I did it.
Right.
And it was like, wow, you know, this is why people don't run. You know, because that pressure is on you from the start. How much money do you got? How much?
Right.
I mean, that's all you're hearing.
That's the hardest thing, to raise money. That's the hardest thing for
if you're a grassroots,
that's what I hear first. Raise money.
Right. And if you're a grassroots person, you don't have donors that donate. You may be calling your family and your friends. That's a limited list. You know, so then you got to go buy information.
And their
buy
money
data.
doesn't match it. Also with the matching funds.
So the challenge is really formidable. But I think with Kathy's campaign, if you have a political party. So she's going to have the volunteers. I'm sure PSL will be bringing people in. She's going to be coming on our show soon, too.
Right, yeah.
And so PSL will be bringing in people throughout the country. It's a national campaign. They're a national party. You know, so she's going to have people on the street. You know, so I think this is going to be a chance to really see something different, where the person may not have the funding. She's not going to have the millions of dollars.
She might, though. You never know.
But also, people might invest. But there are going to be people on the street, and I'll be one of them, knocking on some doors and really getting that message out to say this is what politics should be. You know, one-on-one, where you see the candidate, you see people in your neighborhood knocking on doors. You don't even see these people.
Right.
You know, I mean, I look at the race with Evie. Evie, I mean, I just that's
26.
26. That's
was
26,
it District
right?
26
No,
with everybody?
22, I believe.
22, okay.
And she's running against Tiffany Caban.
Okay.
You know, so Tiffany Caban, you know, ran, and she has a big name. Evie, I see in the community every day. I work with Evie, you know, and Evie does the work.
Feeding, yeah.
I really didn't see Tiffany Caban. You know, I saw she came to our last meeting that we had in Astoria, so it was good to see her. Somebody from a campaign reached out and was like, well, she wants to really work with you guys, and that was great. But that's the first time I heard from them. You know, whereas I see Evie every day, but the money, even in progressive politics, went to Tiffany. You know, everybody just ran and rushed to her, all the establishment folks, and it just makes it tough, you know, for that real, true grassroots person to break through, to really have a shot. It's very difficult.
And what's amazing, real quick. What's amazing is too, with the independents, you know, there's a great amount of independents in the city. So not just with the PSL, but the independents will have a candidate they can get by.
Absolutely.
Get behind, rather. And that's what's going to make a big difference. So, Eric, don't be celebrating, because round 2 is coming, and whoever it is, an independent's coming in too. So already in, but they'll be in the spotlight for real. Go ahead.
Shout out to the chat room. Gary says her husband is a billionaire, right? And shout out to Brenda Temple. Says
Brenda, what's going on, Brenda?
Hey, Brenda.
Eleanor
Bumpers was watching too earlier. I don't know if she's still on, but okay. Go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to know that these elections happen every 8 years, right? Or
well, the locals it's different. The general, I guess, presidential elections every 4 years.
4 years.
These local elections, sometime in 2 years, every 3 years. You know,
City council is usually 4, but because of the census, it's 2 years. So the people that's running for city council now will be running again in 2 years.
Right. I think the same thing goes for Congress as well. Like, you're always having a campaign,
right?
And it's always this pressure.
Yeah, Maloney
pressure.
just won. Yeah, she's running again.
She got to run again. Yeah, and people don't really pay attention to these local elections. People don't vote. I know in my neighborhood, when I went out to vote, I was shocked at how little people were voting. You know, there were no lines out there. I mean, I know it rained that day and everything else, but they count on that. They literally count on people
Yeah.
staying home. They know it's a small little demographic of people that vote.
Right.
And if you could spend your money in that little group, then you can actually win an election without really having anything to do with the community as far as representing the community is concerned.
But I'll say also early voting made a difference because we had several days, over a week, I believe, a week and a day, because it started on a Saturday and it ended on a Sunday.
Right.
So I voted on, early voting. I voted on Juneteenth, which was significant to me. But a lot of people were able to go out and vote early. So it shortened the lines. Because when I went out at 5:40, it was one person online.
Right.
And by the time the polls opened, which was about 6:10, which they were late, that's a problem. It was only 7 people online. So usually, and this is a primary, so it's less.
Right.
But still, to the early voting in New York, and when they make it, throughout different cities that do it in the country, it's very beneficial to the people. Because if you can vote on a weekend, like, why not?
Right.
You off
Get it out
work,
the way.
let's go vote. Let's all get together and go vote. And then the absentee ballot also came into part. My son lives in Rochester, but when he came home for a week, he voted absentee ballot. So his ballot was mailed off, but it's not counted yet. So the absentee ballot, the early voting made a difference because the early voting's already tallied.
Right.
So this is a difference. And I didn't see a lot of people at my polls, because a lot of people voted early or absentee.
Right. I hope that's the case. But
Yeah.
we gotta get involved. I think people are not voting because they feel there's nothing to vote for. I know in my
That's the
community,
question.
that's what I've heard. They're like, you know what? I don't even know 90% of these
Right.
officials, people running.
Yeah.
And what do they stand for? And and most of them are very skeptical and cynical. Like, I just don't want to vote.
Right.
There's nothing to vote for. And that's why the people that do vote are so little.
Right.
And that kind of, it's kind of messed up because we all get represented by these elected officials.
Right.
When very few people are actually
make a
really voting.
difference.
And,
Yeah.
and it's a shame.
And I think with us, with One Night, I'm not even say think. I know with One Night Show, what we did early on, we brought our first mayoral candidate on, which was Jocelyn Taylor. We had her on. We actually brought candidates on that were running in different races.
Absolutely.
And gave our viewership a look and to know what these elected officials do.
Right.
We also had elected officials on. We had a council member, city council member, Ben Kalos, who was running for Manhattan Borough President. We had Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney on. We had Senator
Mercedes Narcisse from
Right.
Flappers.
But we had Senator, but I'm speaking of people that
Right.
we also had people that are in office as
Right.
well.
Right.
We had Senator Chuck Schumer, on. So we brought to our viewership people and it gave you a bird's eye view to really prick your hearts to get into politics because
Right.
you know what? The president and what he does and his cabinet, it matters to a degree, but it's your local politics that really impact you.
Absolutely.
My question is, what are being said to these people? Because I asked a question on my people, Mi Gente, My People, right? It was another one of our wonderful shows here. I asked a question: is One NYCHA worth saving? Right.
Right.
It's not One NYCHA. Is the housing authority
Right.
worth saving? And it brought out, she was passionate about it. That
Right.
yes, it is worth saving. So.
Right.
My question is, what is being said to these people? Do they understand that voting equals you keeping your home?
No,
Because
they
they're
don't get it.
buying these places, right?
Right.
And I have friends who have fathers, family members who are in developing businesses, and they're saying it's over. They're saying it's over. New York, we can talk all our talk, vote all our vote. It's over. They're taking the projects back. They're making it to whatever they want to make it,
Right.
and it's done. And so it prompted me to ask that question.
Right.
Because if I am being threatened with my domain, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to save it. Right. Yes, I understand. If you don't have a connection with a person, you won't vote.
Right.
Like, for example, I'm in my heart, 50% of people who voted for Obama was just because he's black.
Right. Well, sure.
It's an emotional vote, not really a cognitive vote, right?
Right.
So I think these people, they have nobody to resonate, right? There's nobody to talk to them or speak to them. There's not a lot of local platforms like this for them to speak, for them to be exposed to these people, right?
Right.
But if they understand that, hey, they're buying this building, they're buying this whole complex,
Leasing,
and if you don't
leasing
vote,
on. Yeah.
you're out.
Right.
You're out.
Right.
And nobody can save you, you know?
Right.
And if they don't, I think it's that fear that's not looming yet. And it's hopefully, not hopefully, but I hope it doesn't happen that way. I hope it's not too late for these people where the developers are coming in and, hey, you know, you have 8 months left and now you have to scream and beg, or the government don't listen, but the government gave you a chance to speak.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in the fight since 2015 when Infield came. Infield is a proposal that came to Holmes Towers, and we organized. And that fight took over 4 years, and we won it. But everybody has not had success with fighting and pushing it back against Infield. I will also say, although a lot of NYCHA residents hear about RAD, PAC, the blueprint, Infield, and so forth,
Who are those people? I don't know who they are.
No, I'm just saying different residents throughout the city, right? Like they live in public housing. If it hasn't knocked on your door,
Infield, I don't know who those are.
Okay,
that's
so
the privatization
different privatization.
That's what they
forms
call
of privatization.
These
I'm sorry.
privatization schemes.
The people who wants to buy it.
Right.
They want to privatize it. So, but the residents actually are not. If it hasn't came to your door. You don't really care.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Some of them don't care. I can't speak for all residents, but if it hasn't, you get activated when something impacts you directly.
Exactly.
So until they come knocking on your door and telling you this is going to happen, people just sit back. Like there's developments that I had no idea in Queens that was privatized. You know what I mean? When they were trying to do infill in 2015, 2016, we were asking them, because it was 40 developments that the city of New York, the mayor's office, had identified that they were going to do infill in. We asked for that list. We didn't get that list because they knew we would get people boots on the ground to help organize the residents.
Right.
So they like to creep up on you, right?
That's exactly what they do.
Go ahead.
That's exactly what and going I guess looking at what happened in the story and just talking to the community and the residents, you hear a lot of different things. I've heard people say, well, I don't care.
Right.
They could privatize it. I've heard that, and I was like, okay, well, let's get into a conversation. You got to educate them as to what that means. And then you hear some who say...
and what does that mean, Stan? What would be privatizing?
That means they're going to be kicked out. It's like, listen, you need to understand that we fought, all of us coalitions fought, and we was able to get the state assembly, which is where this decision is going to be made. The state assembly is going to decide if the blueprint moves forward. So we spoke to folks and said, okay, we had a victory, and we got it put on pause, which is great, but they're going to come back in the fall, even stronger, because they feel like, okay, now the residents are becoming a little organized, so we got to go even harder. And so a lot of folks really don't understand the fight that they're in. They don't understand how real it is. Some people think it's still like a rumor, but as we're bringing information to them, I was glad to see some people really waking up to say, you know what, we got to do something. And they're not getting the information from the resident council president, which I also think is by design, to keep people, not knowing, until it's too late, So these community meetings that we're going to be having, and I guess other organizations will be having too, is bringing the information to them. And then once they hear what it is, and they make a common sense decision, the blueprint is really it's a real estate deal. And so if these people get financed from bonds, or if they get a loan from a private institution, and they don't pay that loan back, just like a house. If you don't pay off your mortgage, they will foreclose on you. So when you talk to people in these terms, like, this is what can happen to you. And then they kind of get it. Like, what, this is no longer a game. It's not a rumor. They've been talking about privatizing the projects since I lived
housing.
Since I lived there in Lafayette Gardens 50 years ago. So a lot of people are just apathetic. They say, you know what, it ain't gonna happen. But we're here to let you know that it's very real and it's on the table, and if you don't fight like it's your life, then they are going to come and take your development, and they're doing it now under the radar. We hearing development. I think we heard Jamaica houses. Don't know how true it is, but we heard a portion of that was sold. And these are things that are not even
look into that.
Yeah, it's not even on the radar. So how are all these things happening?
Are they offering these regular residents, something like, if I'm coming to privatize your building, do you get first dibs on your own apartment?
That's not happening.
It's not that.
It's just get out because I'm revamping everything.
Well, it's not necessarily that you got to get out. Your protections change under the privatization.
Right.
So that's one bad part, and with RAD, we could use Ocean Bay, how the eviction rate was just
Through the roof.
ballooned. You know, when if they were still under public housing under NYCHA, they probably, a great percentage of those people would still have their homes. And, you know, it's a different lease. You know, you have a different management company, and the management companies are no good,
Right.
and they're not getting their repairs. So already, NYCHA's already complaining about there's no repairs. So then you get something like Wavecrest or any other of these, the management courts
Right.
that don't do much or nothing.
Slumlords.
Yeah.
They're worse. They're as bad as
Right.
NYCHA. And then we
Yeah.
lose power. Instead of
Right.
having
Right.
600 or 700,000 residents
Right.
together,
Right.
now it's private. You're all broken up now.
Right.
You know, so you don't have
So the number
same,
dwindles.
Right. You don't have the
Right.
same power base. And
Right.
I think they understand the power that NYCHA can have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's why we was able to force these mayors and kind of all these people that are running to talk about it on this show, because I believe that they know that they got to talk to this big, powerful group of people.
Right.
You know, but when you privatize it and now it becomes a separated group of people, that power's gone.
Right.
You know, and now what do you think will happen to you
Right.
at that particular point?
Right. Because I remember with the Infield proposal at Homes and the lease agreement, one time it was 99 years. They were going to build a 40-story, then a 50-story build. They didn't even know what they wanted to do, but they did know they wanted to take a playground away. And we had just maybe a couple of years prior, there was a crane that collapsed on the Upper East Side. And, you know, people, few people died, some people were displaced. And all we could think about was a crane being in the midst of our development, because they found a site. They were going to take away a playground. Like, you really going to do this? Because once you break ground, you're going to make the what's that called? The foundation. You're going to destabilize it.
Right, absolutely.
So in any crack or anything in a building, you got to go. I mean, they're going to move you out. And that's what, you know, that was one of our biggest fears, as well as, you know, losing our sunlight, you know, the congestion and everything else. And then they had it at a point, it was a 70-30. Then they went to, when I say 70-30, 70% market rate, 30% affordable for who.
Right.
Then they went to a 40-60. They were just playing around with numbers, but it was just it was a big old scam. And then the developer, call him out, Fettner, he actually donated to de Blasio's campaign, and he actually got that contract to
See
do
how
it.
that
You know
works?
what I'm saying? So it's the devil's always in the details.
Absolutely.
You know, but we were able to
You
expose that.
follow the money, you know
Yeah.
what the corruption is.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Go opposite of the money, people.
Yeah.
Go opposite of the money.
That's right. And get out
Yeah.
there and support Kathy Rojas and any other independent candidate in this upcoming general election. And let's do something different. You know, we got to break this two-party system. You know, don't be afraid of the word socialism. That's what they're going to use against her, which she's a socialist. You know, but end of the day, these are good social policies. You know, so whether you call it socialism or this or that, you know, don't get fooled by that. You know, give the person a chance to explain their platform, and I guarantee if you hear what she's for, you know, that you're going to be in agreement with a lot of that stuff. You know,
Will you be endorsing her, Dan? Stan? I'm gonna
well,
say Dan.
I'm supporting Kathy.
Okay,
Yeah, so
support,
she's
all right.
got my full support, my full
Okay.
endorsement. You know,
Right, okay.
I can't really, you know, I can't with Eric. You know, I'm from Brooklyn. You know, and I know there was some questions about whether or not Eric lives in Bed-Stuy. I grew up in Bed-Stuy.
Or Jersey.
Or Jersey. And I'm telling you, if Eric lived in Bed-Stuy, a guy from Bed-Stuy would know. And people in Bed-Stuy would know. I mean, nobody in Bed-Stuy that I know said they seen Eric walking down the street ever, anywhere. I'm just telling you what people in Bed-Stuy are talking about.
So what you trying to say? He live in Jersey.
I'm just
He live
saying.
across the river, huh?
I'm from Bed-Stuy, and so I know a bunch
said
of people
the house
in
looked
Bed-Stuy,
staged.
right? And so if Eric was known in the community, people would say, well, I see him going to the store. Or I saw him, I don't hear that talk. You know, so I always say it, but I don't hear that Eric is in Bed-Stuy. You know, I just don't.
They even looked into this is the funniest thing. I was reading an article. They looked into the transaction of his Easy Pass. So what? It doesn't have to be his car. Somebody's driving him. He's a borough president.
Right.
Somebody could be driving him.
Right.
They was like, oh, he only went back and forth to Jersey about 8 or 9 times. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know what it said, but
Right.
it was a little bit like, really?
Yeah, come on.
If it's his Easy Pass, and if he's actually living in Jersey and commuting back and forth to do his campaigning and Brooklyn Borough President duties. He is not using his easy pass. He's a former member of service, a captain. He knows how things in Big Brother watches. He's not crazy.
Right.
So that was one of the things that they were able to refute. Like, oh, because of his easy pass, he only made no.
Well,
No.
I know.
Well, shouts out to Eleanor Bumpers.
Yes.
Yes.
Eleanor.
Yes. So I think it's going to be very interesting when all these things come out. I think he was able to get around this stuff a little bit in this election. But in the general election, there'll be more questions asked, and that's going to be one of the questions that he has asked. I mean, do you even live here? Number one. And then beyond that, your policies. To be perfectly honest, again, I'm from Brooklyn. I live in Queens now, but I can't really recall a whole lot that Eric has said, over the last few years when he sat in that position. So when you had the platform, like when we talk about public housing, I mean, I didn't really hear Eric say anything about public housing. He may have said some things during the debates or whatever, but all out throughout the years when this was all happening, he was very silent. And I did see him with Donovan Richards too, out in Ocean Bay when it was privatized. He was on that stage talking too. So I don't know if you could say you're against privatization, but you're hanging out with Donovan, who's the czar of privatization here in New York, one of them, who's trying to sell it to various developments. So
funny thing with Eric Adams, when I was on Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney's caucus with the mayoral candidates, I asked him a question. I asked him two questions, and one of my problems is I asked him two questions and he answered only one, and it was so lengthy. I asked him about, the issue with the homelessness in New York City. How would he eradicate that? And I also asked him, was he for, or not against privatization?
Right.
He never answered that because he stayed on the one question so long. So, I mean, I know there's been other debates and, people probably don't heard him, hopefully for the record, say he isn't. But, they could say whatever they want to get in. And to get our vote,
And I know on one forum when he was asked a question, he suddenly had to leave. Right? As soon as the question was asked, he had to go.
Eric.
So
he had to pee, people. He had to pee.
He was on Zoom. And he had to go. He had another meeting to go to. So, but if you're on a forum, you should be on there like everybody else for the whole entire forum.
Right.
But he just had to happen to leave. When the question of privatization came up. So I'm skeptical.
Right.
NYCHA residents, you need to be paying really close attention, to what's happening, because
like
that
your
next
life
mayor,
depends on it.
That next mayor is going to have a big say so in what's going to happen to our developments, whether they go private or not, and we need to know where they stand, and we can't allow them to duck the issue.
Right.
And I know Kathy is going to make sure that issue stays on the front burner. In terms of what is your positions.
Well, we'll have her on soon,
Right.
so we're going to let her speak her talk, right? So she'll be on soon, and that's going to be great. I'm not cutting you off, but I just can't wait for her to, be on her own platform talking with us here on One Night Show on this platform, but her in this seat, probably one of our seats she'll be in, or zooming in, however she prefers, but so, our viewership can really hear from her. But let's jump into, I know we got to go soon, public advocate. So it don't seem like Jamani did any campaigning. To be honest, I did not get any literature, maybe one from him. He wasn't really campaigning. Like, he had this in the bag. Remember we had Theo on here, which was, Theo's show was funny. Anybody want to watch a funny show? That funny. We were laughing. And, who else was in the race? Tony Herbert was in the race.
Theo said he's going to have... He said he's going to have Jamani work for him or something like that. He said Theo's hilarious.
Yeah, he was funny.
Yeah, Jamani didn't really campaign.
No.
He got the big endorsements.
Yeah.
Like the big name people came out for him. And I know Tony Herbert, man, from Brooklyn, and didn't quite make it, but
he soared right in. And I'm like, wow, you didn't even campaign, dude. Like,
and, he
didn't campaign.
And he's done nothing for NYCHA. I'm just put on the record. He's a part of that commission. In Fulton Houses where a lot of elected officials came together.
The working group.
They did not include any NYCHA residents on it. And you got these elected officials speaking for NYCHA residents and speaking on what's going to actually happen. And yet when you call his office and try to get to him, I've called his office. I never get to him. You get to the staff people,
his deputy,
and they're decent to work with. But you need the public advocate, to be. If he was in this fight, front and center against privatization, that brings the news media.
As a former housing organizer, right?
Yeah. So but he's not. And we gotta say it as it is. He's not been, as far as I can see, on our side of the fight.
Well, he looks like he made it in. So, and if he doesn't get, during the general election, somebody jump in, he'll be in there.
Right.
So
is these developers what we can consider what the NRA is to the presidency?
More or less, yeah. Because they know that they like the NRA, they do the same thing.
Right.
They have a lot of money, and they can say, well, I'm going to give you this or that, or I'm going to primary you. And if you're really if you're not a principled person and you're just in office to be in office, then that threatens your existence. And so they control you. And that's exactly what these developers are doing. They control.
Do they really control you? Can't you just take their money and run? Like
Come on now, talk about it.
This is like a donation,
You
right?
don't have to be beholden. You are right about that.
Then I'll ask you. The question would be then, what happens in the next election? So you may get the money. I know me and Sanjay had
we differ a little bit on it because I'm like, if I run,
it's my money.
But if you take that money and then you got to run again.
This is a new thing, though. This is a new Jack Swing thing.
Then you're gonna have to.
This is the thing that a lot of people are saying. Maybe because people have been beholden, but you can, like you said, you can take money from whoever if you want, and not owe them anything, right? It's a donation, but that's an individual issue. Like Stan and I'm like, well, because I know I was somewhere. We was at Astoria. Near Astoria houses, and they were coming. They were getting on Carolyn Maloney, and I was like, no, she's with the people. Like she's been there. Right. It's my congresswoman. Like because she takes money or whatever, how she takes some money. That's her business. She's an OG. She's been doing this, you know. And I'm not saying OG in a disrespectful way. Like, of course. Lesser, her press secretary, calls her OG, original gangster. So, but yeah, it's to each his own. But I get it. Mm-hmm. But I get what you're saying too. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, but of course. I'm with development. Give me the money, yeah. And then psych.
Take it and run, right?
The question would be, if you win that way, right? And then you got to run again. And then now you're going to need money again. And
but what if the person took the money? Let's say Jeff was running and Jeff took the money. But Jeff didn't do any favors for that developer. Mm-hmm. He didn't show no favoritism. He didn't help him get any things through the EULA process and all of that, building and all of that stuff. He didn't work anything for him.
I'll take the money and groom a person that's in my office for the next one. But okay, they hate me now. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But hide here. I'll make you work, and in 2 years you take it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm on the record for myself is that I am going to run again, and I will never,
as you should,
and I will not take any money from no developers for myself, right? As I believe that the people have to step up now and say, you know what, if we don't want that guy to be compromised, then we got to give our $1 and our $2 and our $5, and we got to really invest in these campaigns.
You ask for $10 for matching funds.
$10 for matching funds, but really get involved, so that you give the candidate the option not to take this money.
That's what it's about.
Because you can get it from the people.
Right.
And until we do that, then we're not going to have any different type of politics. It's going to be the same old. So we have a chance with Kathy's campaign to show something different. I'm asking folks when she comes on and you hear her platform, and if it resonates with you, get behind that particular platform and invest in it, and really support it, so we can have her be quote unquote viable right out the bat. And if she's viable and she presents a different picture of politics, and I think that makes the city better. And that will make Eric or whoever wins move further to the left. I mean, because now you got to deal with this other person that's actually being listened to and heard.
Her ears probably burning today.
I would love to design one of these flyers for the campaigns. I would just say, hey, would you save you? And put your apartment number behind bars or something. Right. Would you save you?
Right, absolutely.
Because the fat cats are coming in. If I see this, I'm like, wow, Or I'll say your rent is potentially to skyrocket 2,000%. And put how they used to send a advertisement, but they will send like you should pay $190, but under it says this is not a bill.
Right.
I will send a fake lease. right?
Right.
It'll look like a lease, a mock-up lease. Hey, you know, your next rent could be $2,000 a month,
Right, right.
Unless you do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if it looks like your lease, you're gonna pay attention to it.
Right. We sent out some powerful flyers, you know. But,
scare the people.
We actually were told. The resident council president said, "This is one in Ravenswood, right where you live." She was like, "Well, we don't like you. You're scaring the residents. You're telling the residents that they're going to be kicked out." You know, in all reality, you have to scare them. You got to scare them to make them aware that this is not a game. You know, so if we got to shock you into paying attention, then that's what we have to do. You know, because they're banking on folks being lulled to sleep.
But you also provided them evidence also, right?
Right.
So, you know, something that has already occurred that can possibly happen to you.
Right, likely
so,
to.
Right, yeah, so, yeah. With that said.
Make a cartoon. You said how you have...
Lewis did something before, I think.
Look at Mike's T-shirt. You see how it has little comic books? The first frame, I'll put a nice family, nice white people family, and they're reading a newspaper. And then the next frame, the little girl will be like, "Hey, Daddy, what are you reading?"
Illustration.
And they say, "Oh, I think we should buy a condo in the pink houses." But Dad, is that a development? Not anymore.
Right.
You know, we can buy apartments 16, 17, and 18F. You know, then the people I would feel kind of disrespected.
Right.
And I'd be like, no, hell no, you're not going to take this away from me. You know?
Right.
Like they have propaganda, right? Stuff that's powerful and that's going to scare the people. Because if you're not scared enough, you're not going to move.
Right.
Shout out to Renee Simone. Power is addictive. They keep taking. Keep taking.
Right.
Give her a hand clap.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends really on what you run for office for. You know, for myself, I mean, if I win or when I win, I don't think I'm not going to be a career politician. You know, so if you in it for that, then you can be controlled. But if you're really in it to help the people, you do your one term or so. You know, you've done what you've done. You move on, and you're not addicted to it.
Some of them are career politicians.
Some of them get addicted to it.
Yeah.
They get addicted to the perks.
They
get addicted to the attention,
the language,
their name. You know, being out there, people looking up to them, and they don't want to give it up.
Right.
They're just stuck in that position.
Yeah. Because like
from this one to that one to this one.
Gail Brewer, Manhattan Borough president, knew she was terming out. She ran for her old city council seat, so she's still in the game. So
playing that double dutch.
I mean,
it's chess, not checkers, people. And I want to make something clear. I said a white family, right? I'm not trying to talk about white people. I just want to give a thought-provoking visual on how on the outside it may look, because gentrification is a real thing.
It absolutely
I didn't think it was a real thing until my neighborhood where my mom lived has been gentrified.
Right.
And when I mean gentrification, they bought their crackheads too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like that means it's fully integrated.
Right.
The whole echelon, the people who make money and the people who don't.
Right.
Everybody's in the neighborhood now.
Yeah.
Right.
So what are you competing with?
Right.
You can't even compete for the streets. Where are you going?
Right. In Bed-Stuy, where I grew up, I mean, it's amazing. I was actually watching.
It's not even called Bed-Stuy anymore.
Everybody, I think I come up with.
What is it called now?
I heard this. I work in emergency services, and I was in the hospital one day triaging a patient, and I had a young lady behind me. You know, sometimes they usher us like lines, right?
Right.
And she was in a stretcher behind me, and this lady came from money. You see her shoes, red bottoms, nice purse, and I heard her husband talking about, they're doing big things in Brooklyn. This is when the Barclays Center was here a year, right? And which I think Marty Markowitz sold,
of course.
I'll say it again on air, right? So, and she said, "Oh, Brooklyn. Oh, I've heard of Brooklyn. I heard it's called New Brooklyn now."
Wow.
Yeah,
I think there's some interesting things are going down there. I may take a visit. Like, what you mean may take a visit?
Right.
We're across the bridge.
Right.
You're talking to us like we're this foreign land
Right.
that now has some interest.
Absolutely.
And to call it New Brooklyn?
Right. No, it's I mean, I saw in the park where we used to be only black folks playing ball. It was a bunch of white kids playing, and there was not a black kid in that park playing ball across the street from Lafayette Gardens in Bed-Stuy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So 20 years ago, that would have been unheard of. You know, like it could never even possibly happen. And now that's what it is. You know, and it's a shame. But the Lafayette Gardens stayed the same, right? Everywhere else is gentrified, but right there in that development is one of the worst, yet still in the city. And it's a shame. It's a shame. It really is.
A lot of people don't look at also with the gentrification is what you paid for in your local store or your supermarket the prices go up
Right.
with the gentrification.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
yeah.
That means you have to travel further, or you got to spend more right where you used to buy your
Right,
groceries
right,
at.
Right.
Out of East Flatbush, where I live, there's this place called Met Food, right?
Okay.
And Met Food, you can go there all the time. My mother no longer goes to Met Food because it has an
Prices.
organic section now,
Right.
And the organic section is overpriced.
Way
A
overpriced.
gallon of milk is $7-8.
Yes,
Right,
that's
right.
Where I remember a
ridiculous.
gallon of milk used to be
That's
$5 the
ridiculous.
most,
Right,
right?
right.
And it's the same milk, people,
Right.
and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
And I want to say another thing too. Like, I went to college for architecture.
Okay.
And I want to say this, right? And also working in emergency services, I go to all these high rises in the building, in the city.
Right.
All the ones that look like glass and stuff like that.
Right.
Concierge, the lobby looks beautiful, right?
Right.
But I mean all the steps, right? All the steps, I mean all the elevators.
Right.
People, it's only glass. If you look at, and this is good tie into what we're talking about. If you look at if you take off all the glass, the guts are designed the same as the projects.
Right.
The staircase
housing.
are the same.
Right.
The
The structure is the same.
infrastructure.
Right.
So of course they want to take the projects because all you got to do is just reface the bricks. The guts
Right.
is the same thing,
Right.
and reface the lobby. So it's gonna cost me to take a building and reface it. Maybe cost me a couple of $100,000.
Right.
Where I could make it look brand new, but the guts are the same thing. If you're paying $350 or $3,500, you're living
Right.
in the same type of building,
Right.
glass, and you're probably near the water or a train station
Right, right.
that drives up the market. So
Right.
people, please, like, don't think people are better than you because they live somewhere else. Honestly, if you don't have, even if you have a doorman, a doorman doesn't make the building,
Right.
more safe or anything like that.
Right,
Because if
right.
you come in with a gun, doorman is gone.
Right.
All right,
Right.
doorman is gone.
Facts.
I've been in a rich building right across the street from Fifth Avenue, Apple, right? And I seen some people run up in that building.
Right.
What was the doorman? Outside.
Right. Right.
All right.
Right.
So
right.
please, not saying that things can happen everywhere, but don't think that you're gonna be kicked out of your housing development and think you're gonna go somewhere else and it's gonna be better or stuff like that. You have to make yours better.
Right.
You have to make where you are better. The young lady Claudia from My People Mi Gente, she says, listen, you've been here 20 years, 30 years, 2 generations passed in your apartment. That's your place.
Right.
That's your apartment. You technically own it.
Right.
So fight for it.
Right.
If generations are going to come after it, because
Right.
they're going to take your development, they're going to take your home, and they're going to take the schools next.
Right. Right.
All right?
Right. Right.
And I always remind people that public housing residents are the income is not a one fit. Like,
Absolutely not.
there are people that are retired, there are people that are on public assistance, there are people that are working, there are people that have really good jobs, either 6 figures or close to 6 figures.
That live there,
Don't
yes.
get
Right.
it twisted.
Right.
It's 30% of the income, and as I like to say, no roommate needed.
Right.
And I never forget when I met Joycelyn Taylor, and right before the pandemic, her and her team came, because then I
Right,
introduced
right,
you to her.
absolutely.
She wound up going to Queensbridge and hanging out with Stan and met Sugar Ray. That
Right.
fully, like, Sugar Ray went
Sugar Ray,
hard
you
for
know,
her.
Sugar Ray,
yeah,
Sugar
Sugar
Ray,
Ray,
yeah.
shout out. But we were talking. We were sitting at the table with my team and her team, and we were talking about what if we could own our own apartments. And I was interested in that conversation. And some people really don't see it. Like they go, oh, here, in public housing, yeah, because somebody else want it.
Right, yeah. Right,
They
right.
want it because if we could fix up our own apartments and own it, of course, because yes, if you've lived there at least 10 years or so, depending on what you're paying rent,
Right.
you done paid mortgage. If you living there 20 or 30 years, you done paid probably for 2 or 3 houses.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and
There should be a longevity incentive.
Right.
But no, it's a money pile
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And plus, we have to take care of our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Like you said, there are people who want this spot.
Right.
Right. And don't look down on projects because I drive past them all the time, and I know when a project has affluent people in it and when it don't. Just look at the cars.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The parking lots, every single parking spot is taking.
Right.
And they have nice cars. Big
they're
cars.
taking the parking lots now, too.
Yeah, they're taking
Infield,
So there's
Infield.
nice cars in front of the PJs. People don't get it twisted.
Yeah,
They,
public housing, yep. So
when
for
it's
sure.
good, it tastes good, and they see it tastes good, and they're going to take it right from under you. So
Yeah.
fight for your lives, fight for your family, fight for the next generation, fight for the future.
Right.
You know,
That's
fight
true.
for your neighborhood.
Keep public housing public.
Yeah. Any closing remarks, Stan?
Well, I'm gonna kick it over to Mike because Mike been quiet over
Okay.
What's your closing
Closing.
remark,
What
Mike?
you got to say? Then we'll jump to Stan.
Well, like I usually like to say at the end of the show is let everybody know that they need to subscribe to One Night TV on YouTube.
Okay. All right.
That's right. That's
One
right.
night.
Well, you know, I had a good, smooth week with my son, so you know I'm over here just
Call you
relaxing.
Mike Smooth.
I'm relaxing.
Money Mike. Money Mike. Mike
doing
Smooth.
the dad thing.
Smooth. Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
What about you, Stan? What's on your horizon?
I'm gonna enjoy my vacation, so I'm gonna
Yes.
do some relaxing, but actually doing some planning. You know,
A
so
week
I'm
or
not-
two? What you got? A week or two?
I'm back on July 8th, I think.
Ooh,
You know,
so it's like 2 weeks?
Yeah, so but I'm gonna be planning. You know,
Okay.
even though I'm not working, I'm gonna be meeting with Sugar Ray and the other young brother from Astoria Houses. Try to get those two guys together and try to use some hip hop and some music to bring the youth together. Because I'm hearing so much about these gang fights, and if you live in Astoria, you can't go to Queensbridge. If you live in Queensbridge,
Wow.
you can't go to Ravenswood. And so we can't get these young people together because there's so much gang violence in these developments that's been going on for like years. So I want to see if we can find ways to use music and things like that to get these young people together so we can kind of squash these beefs and then get these young people involved in the fight. We can't get them to fight for NYCHA
Right.
if they're fighting each other and killing each other. You know,
Yeah.
so hopefully we can get them on board and really get in this fight because you'll be kicked out of the apartment too. If your mom and your dad lose the apartment,
Right.
you don't got nowhere to live either. You know, so
Right.
don't think you're not going to be impacted as a young person, which a lot of them are not really feeling this fight yet. So I speak to them, and but this fight is for you too. You know, we need you guys in this fight as soldiers. Why it's so important that Mike's in this fight
Yeah.
as a 30-year-old Ravenswood resident. You know, showing the young folks that you gotta get involved. You can't sit around and say that's my grandmother's fight. No, it's your fight too.
Yeah, especially for those who are there, who inherit these apartments. There's a lot of families, a lot of people who inherit their
Generational.
apartments,
Yeah, it's
you know?
generational.
So if you don't fight for it, you're out.
Right.
You're out, you know?
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do because living in Brooklyn is terrible. You know, it's when I say terrible, Brooklyn's a beautiful place to live in, but it's very expensive. It's very expensive.
Yes, it is.
I've been saying it to my family. I soon leave New York and leave this for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Because I just can't take it. But you know, the fight is worth having, and anything worth having, worth holding, is never easily obtained.
Absolutely.
And so, if you follow that model and you want to stick it to the man, as we usually say, right? Vote, vote, vote. A vote doesn't cost you money. A vote doesn't cost you much effort. If it's going to take you to walk, and absentee ballots are beautiful. You know, for the presidency, I voted it. I use it. I like it. I check from my home, and if there's a mailbox,
Right.
I'll put it in the mailbox. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do, people. Save yourself and save your family, save your generation, because they're out here to take it. They don't care about you. It's about the money. Brooklyn's about to be the new Manhattan very soon.
Yeah.
Downtown, I was riding through a neighborhood, I think it was Dean Street. I almost got lost because you look up and like, where am I?
Right.
You know,
No, it's
the
insane.
landmarks
Yeah.
are changing.
Right. No,
You
it's
know, I don't
insane.
look at street signs. I know left at the roti shop. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? That is changing because there's no more roti shop. There's no more mom and pops.
Right.
You know?
Right. No, it's the same.
Going Midtown Brooklyn to I call it Midtown towards the junction where the 2 or 3 trains are. I remember I used to work at a cell phone shop right between Farragut and Glenwood, and 4 stores are boarded up now,
Right.
and it's gonna become a building. You know,
Right.
and like I remember I was working in this this little mom and pop shop that's no longer there.
Right.
And all his neighbors are gone.
Right.
And there's apartments upstairs. They're gone too, gutted out already.
Right.
So you can see the roof open from the window.
Wow.
So it's like they're taking it by storm, and whoever's used to be there, they don't want to be there anymore, and they're giving up the land. So people, please fight.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Thank you for
Jeff,
being here with us
stepping in.
today.
I love it.
Yeah, we had fun with you. Give yourself
Yes.
some.
Yes, it was good.
Give yourself some. And when you speak about Brooklyn compared to Manhattan, Brooklyn actually is more now to list more, cost more some places to live in.
Yes, I
Manhattan
heard.
now.
Like
So
the,
it
like
has
the
changed.
Chelsea
Yeah,
area,
yeah.
people are. I hear that
Yeah.
their landlords are giving more incentives of people to come back.
Right.
Because they're vacant. They're vacant apartments.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we closing down now. I just want to say congratulations to the One NYCHA team. We have been airing this podcast here in this second site, as well as when we were in Brooklyn. We've been a year in, guys.
Yeah, it's been a long,
So
long ride.
give us some.
Yeah.
We've been a year in June. So a lot was going on. We didn't get to announce it and stuff like that. But we a year in, a year strong. And for those that don't know the history of One NYCHA, we also started at Millennium TV as One NYCHA. So before we were a podcast, okay? And then we turned to the Power Talk, right? So we switched to the Power Talk that Stan and I do. And that's a whole other thing because they didn't, the name, they was, a little fearful of the name. Remember, that's when I met you up there, right? Gary, you were Gary D, now you Gary Facts.
Right?
Yep.
So we will be taking a week off, One NYCHA.
Okay.
Okay, we are off on July 4th, so everybody be safe. There should be some live feeds coming from us just to shoot in, say hi, show some work we're doing. But we're off on July 4th. We'll be back on July 11th, and we will be starting season 3.
Yes.
Season 3, come on.
Season 3.
Season 3. She'll be coming. We'll depending if we can book her.
I'm gonna finish that booking. We can start out strong.
Yeah, she'll speak. Yeah, we'll have that conversation. It's open right now for that day, but hopefully you got to work on that, Stan, and then push me to the people. I'm still waiting on the email or something.
I'm on vacation mode.
But you got. Well, I already spoke to for Justice Center on Barry, so it's 2 of y'all working on it. So, but we're definitely going to get it on because we want our viewership to see another option, which is very important.
Absolutely.
So, with that said, One NYCHA, one people, we lifting off. This is what we do.
Absolutely.
All right, great show, team.
Yes, sir.
All right, Rock, we miss you.
Rock
All
Logic,
right.
we'll see you next time.
Next time.
Yeah, we'll be back with Rock Logic. Stan Morris, Mike Jones, Sandrea Coleman.
Shout out to Maria and Ann Georgia Watkins on the chat.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Thank you for
everybody who's
tuning
been on the
in.
chat. Shout out to everybody for tuning in.
One NYCHA,
This has
one
been
people.
another episode
NYCHA.
of One NYCHA. Thank
One
you,
people.
everybody.
Woo.
One people. Thanks for joining us.
Lifting
Thanks for
off.
watching us. If you're watching us now, later, tomorrow,
That's right. Share.
the next day, share it. All right. This
Comment.
is for you, people. This is